If you need to update your deck, go to 50cards.shop. Get 5% off your next purchase when you use code Nexus. Hello Vanguard community, we got another one for you. We're doing the Minerva deck profile. So Minerva came out in D-BT08, which was actually kind of like the title of the booster. It was Minerva Rising. So we jumped straight into Limit Break Right era for our revival stuff. So we got Lukier and Maelstrom, and today we're gonna go over Minerva. So let's go right into the ride deck. For our ride deck, we got some oldies but goodies. We got Vivid Rabbit back, Witch of Frogs Melissa, Chamomile, and Minerva herself. Our starter is the same as all the other starters. You just, you draw if you go second. Then Melissa's skill is when you ride a Genesis card on top of this from the ride deck. You can look at the top 5 cards of your deck, pick 2 cards, put them into your soul, and I believe the rest get shuffled. They should get shuffled. The second skill, because it's actually a really good main deck card as well, is when this is put into the drop zone from your soul, if you have a Vanguard with Minerva in its name, you can call this to a back row rear and soul charge 1. So, fill your board back up. Chamomile is similar, or pretty much exactly the same for this first skill. It's when you ride a Genesis unit on top of this. You'll get top 5, pick 2, put in soul, shuffle the rest. And the second skill is when this is soul blasted, you can counterblast 1, call it to a rearguard circle. No additional power though, unfortunately, or soul charge. Then we have Minerva. So Minerva's our main ride of the deck, main focus. First skill is during your turn, if you have a grade 3 with Regalia in its name and its soul, your front row gets 5k. Cool. Second skill, you can act Soul Blast 1. You can look at the top card of your deck and you can put it either back on the top of your deck or into your soul. So if it's trigger, you keep it there. If it's not, you just soul charge it. And the third skill is the restand. So you counterblast 1, Soul Blast 3, discard a card with Genesis in its name. So it's actually important to run Genesis cards because you need to discard them. And stand this unit, drive -1. And your opponent's Vanguard has to be at grade 3. So it's multi-attacking because you can call Chamomiles back and do more attacks that way as well, which is cool. So the deck seems very aggro. All right, now we're jumping into the main deck. Obviously, we got to run our other 3 copies of Minerva for the Persona ride, also having Regalia in the soul, and more Genesis units. Speaking of Genesis units, look who also came back. It's Angelica, the break ride. So Angelica in this deck has a rearguard skill. So what Angelica does is rearguard circle. At the end of the battle, this unit attacked. If you have a Vanguard with Minerva in its name, you Soul Blast 1. Choose your Vanguard, it gets 5k, and then you move this into the soul and you countercharge 1. So this is also what helps you, pay for the cost for Minerva if you don't have any counterblasts, which is really helpful. So, and then also it moves the soul, so it makes room if you want to call Chamomile back, if that's how you want to play the game. So definitely for that, because it is a Genesis unit. Oh, before I start swiping those away, we got our one Gratius Gradale. Gratius Gradale, it's our Persona Ride activator. So if you are on grade 3 and you have not ridden this turn, you can activate your Persona Ride. You can only run one of this in the deck, but we only need the one. It's, so it's a pretty helpful card. So I do like this just to let me know that I do have extra access to, kind of extra Persona Ride going on over here. But other than that, it's not needed, but it is definitely helpful. So I do like running the 1 copy. Now we're moving on to grade 2s. We got 3 more copies of Chamomile because it is a Genesis unit and it can call itself out from soul when it hits the drop zone. So that's really cool. We got our 4 copies of Drilling Angel because, soul charge. So you can put Chamomiles and Melissas back into the soul. Lets you filter because Drilling Angel lets you look at the top 3 of the card you put from drop into soul and see if you can call another one. So definitely want to run 4 Drilling Angel in this deck. Next, I am running 2 Kyrie because it's a good board filling card and you have plenty of soul to work with. So Kyrie is Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, look at top 3, call a grade 2 or less. If you reveal a card, if it's grade 2 or less, you call it. If it is not, it goes to your hand. So this helps you grab Angelica's, put your hand. It can help you grab Minerva's Persona Ride. It can help you grab your Gradales to activate Persona Ride if you want to. So There's different things you can do with this, and it's pretty helpful. And the other one I'm also running is Cadwalla. Cadwalla is similar, but it doesn't cause a counterblast. So what Cadwalla does at the end of the battle, Solas 1, retire this unit. If you have 4 units on the board, you can pay the cost, and then you look at the top 3, grab a grade 2 or greater unit or card, add it to your hand, and if you do not, you just draw a card. So it's good for emptying that space in your front row circle after you swing, so that way you can call out chamomile, so that, you know, keep the attacks going and also like not lose out, you know, on, you know, kind of over calling on a unit, you know, it makes space. So that's it for grade 2s. Grade 1s, we got to run our 3 Melissa because it is a Genesis unit and it has a skill that's pretty helpful that we went over for the right deck. And then we got our 4 copies of Cider. So what Cider does is rearguard at the end of the battle that it boosted. If the Vanguard with Minerva in its name, it just goes back to your hand. Second skill is when it's in the guard circle. If you have a Vanguard, grade 3 Vanguard Regalia in its card name in your soul, I believe. Yeah, if your soul has a grade 3 Regalia, this gets an extra 5 shield. So it's similar to the old Cider with the guard skill, but what's cool is I do like that this can bounce back to your hand if you can call it out into your board somehow. Definitely a good card, but also importantly, it's a Genesis unit that we need for Minerva. Then we got our 3 PGs and our 1 Sanctitude, because Sanctitude gets around a lot of funny stuff like Flagbird, which is nice. And Aegis Mares are just the better PG than the trial deck ones. All right. Lastly, our triggers. We got our over trigger. This is the one that gives rearguards drive checks. So this is really good because you do run rearguard grade 3s, so you can get off that twin drive, but it's also an over trigger, so we're running it. Then we got our crits. I am running Blade Feather Dragon. You don't really call triggers, but if you do, might as well run a trigger that fills your soul for a soul reliant deck like with Minerva, because you got a Soul Blast 3 for that restand. And then I'm running Fang Witch because it fits the theme as my crits. You know, you got to keep the witches out here. 3 draw because, you know, you're trying to filter and draw for your key pieces in this deck, and you want to draw into your Genesis units for your discard. And draw triggers are also just really cool. This is the draw trigger that gets you extra shield. So if your opponent's at grade 3, he gets an extra 5k shield. And last but not least, got our 4 heals. 3 of the Sorceress. Move those up. 3 of the Sorceress and 1 of the Hardiness tier Sorceress. So this is the one where if your opponent's unit gain an extra critical by card effect, you can get an extra 15 shield. Really helpful against a lot of these decks these days. Bazorga, Baromagnes, Gravidia. What else gains an extra crit? There are all a lot of stuff. So, but that's pretty much it. And I'm looking forward to playing this deck a lot more and showcasing it on the channel for you guys. But let me know what you think, and also what other what are these called? Not origin rares. The what other just OG units that you want to see come back for D series, or even trial deck cards. So it kind of looks like we're coming back into G era, so we'll probably get more of those soon. So stay tuned for that. So that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Bye.